Hey, everybody. Happy Finance Friday. Yay.
Hey.
We made it.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, Memorial Day weekend. This is the show where we transform your relationship with your money. We are live. We share this out right now.
Share it.
We give you the information you need to help you grow and protect your wealth. I'm Amy Novakovich. Ooh, I am.
And I'm Ryan Wilson.
Hey, Johnny. So share this out right now because we're going to get into a lot of fun stuff about how to calculate retirement. How do we even estimate what we're going to need in retirement? What kind of income are we going to need in retirement? All these questions. And when do I start saving for retirement? How do I know what to save? All these crazy questions we're going to get into. It's a lot.
I hope we cover it all.
Right? So the first thing I want to start off with, because as you guys know, I just shared this out. As you guys know, we like to give information right away that's super valuable that you can take away in case you can't watch the whole thing. And the one thing I wanted to mention is you hear all the time Roth only. Maybe they don't hear it. Maybe we just hear it. Did you ever think of that?
Maybe.
Do you guys hear?
But I feel like it is a lot. It's because I feel like anyone that comes to me is like, hey, I need a Roth.
Roth. Yeah. Oh, I hear that too.
Yeah. Like,
I need a Roth. I have to have a Roth.
Yeah.
Roth only. Roth only. And the real truth is that if you do, hey, John, if you do Roth only, then you don't get a tax deduction while you're actually making money. So let's just take a simple example. If you save for 30 years, which a lot of people do, like in their 401k, for instance, and you save $1,000 in taxes, let's just make it really even. Some people save more, some people save less on their contributions if you do a regular IRA. So you save $1,000 in taxes for 30 years. That in simple math is 30 grand. That's not even counting all the compounding of that money that you saved that you earned money on that didn't go to taxes. You follow me, guys? Okay. So for $30,000 that you saved. Now, when you go to retire, you might be 65, 70.
Yeah, somewhere around
whatever.
there, hopefully.
And yes, you have to pay taxes on that money when the money comes out, but A, you're not making as much money. Your tax bracket might be a lot lower. And B, what if you, I hate to be like morbid, but planning wise, you have to think about this. What if you need long-term care? You go in a facility and you don't need that kind of income anymore. Or what if you pass away? Then guess what? You don't get all those tax benefits later in life. So it's not always Roth is the point. You have to do a little planning, a little questions to a professional to see what's right for you. Usually an accountant or a financial advisor. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Oh, follow us on Instagram at Nova Wealth Management. Follow us on Twitter at Nova Wealth Management. Management's abbreviated, MGMT. Check out our YouTube channel. I just did another Hope Show video. Yay! That's going to be posting soon. I just edited today. So anyway, okay, let's get into today's conversation. So, retirement. I feel like I'm going 1,000 miles a minute. I only had a half a cup of green tea.
Wow. I would have never known.
Impressive.
You seem like you're dragging.
What did Megan say? When the Powerball or Mega Millions winner becomes part of my world. Hey, sister, I'm praying for you. Oh, prayer. I feel like for Memorial Day, see, I'm all over the place. I just feel like we really want to say thank you to obviously all our veterans. Memorial Day, we're remembering people that have paid the ultimate sacrifice so we can have any freedom that we have in this country. We owe it all to you. Mm-hmm. So we just want to express our absolutely full gratitude and appreciation for you and just anybody that has lost their life, anybody that has a family member has lost their life. We just thank you so much for your sacrifice because this is a weekend we should remember every day, not just Memorial Day weekend, but we just thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how, Ryan, do you calculate? Let's start here because in order to know how much you'll need in retirement, you have to know how much income you'll want in retirement.
Right.
So start there.
Which is a little tricky. There's a lot of different ways to figure this out. Well, it's tricky because there's different ballparks. So there's kind of like ballpark methods that some people say that it's around 80, anywhere really from like 75 to 85% of your income that you have now is what you'll need in retirement. Okay. It's kind of like a ballpark. It's
like a method.
Yeah. So that's
percentage of your income now that you might need in retirement.
Right. Or you can actually sit and kind of itemize it, which would be
depending how far out you are. Because if you're like 30 years from retirement,
right.
it's very difficult to budget what you might need in retirement. How do
Right.
you know what car payments are going to be?
Well, and also it's tricky too, because even if you say 75% of your income, well, if you're 35 and you're planning on growing your income for the next 20 years, it's also tricky.
But our point is it is at least a place to start.
Right. So you kind of have to say, okay, if I want, by the time I retire, say I want to have $100,000 in income, and that's kind of what I'm gauging for.
Right.
Then you have to kind of assume that you're going to be anywhere from 75 to 85, depending on how much you want to travel, maybe 95. I mean, it could be up to the same amount. I mean, depending on really how much you want to live in retirement is really going to dictate how much you need in retirement.
Right.
So, but
it sounds like common sense.
Yeah. So
but we get these questions all the time. So we're just trying to break it down.
Yeah. And we can't, over you just listening to me, won't really get an exact number, but just kind of thinking about and talk to somebody that can help you. But getting the idea of like, okay, here's how much I think I might need in retirement. And that's kind of a starting point.
It is a starting point because ultimately you can get a general idea of the bucket of money you will want in retirement. And then you get an advisor or somebody that does, investment planning to help you manage around that number. So let's give an example real quick. I always love to use the 5% rule in my book. That's what I call it. So if you want 100,000 in retirement, 100,000 is 5% of what number? So you take 100,000 divided by 0.05. The number is 2 million. So you would need $2 million because that will generate 5% per year conservatively, which is $100,000, which also means you won't dip into the 2 million.
Which means that then if you have that number, then if you do want to say remodel the kitchen or go on vacation, you have some more money now.
Or if you need 110 a year, like you've got some.
Right. So it's more to think like, okay, I get to live off of X amount of dollars, but then I also get to then leave. So you got to get to kind of think of legacy planning along with your retirement. So does it mean you have to have $2 million to get $100,000 a year? No, but that means that you're better off. You're closer to the fact that you probably won't deplete that number by the time your retirement ends and you pass away.
Or if you do one of those calculators and you say, okay, I have X amount of dollars right now, and I save X amount of dollars right now, and the calculator says I'll have $1 million when I retire in 30 years or whatever it is. Obviously, this is we're assuming you are in your 30s or 40s to say 30 years until retirement. And your calculator says you'll have $1 million. Well, again, using the 5% rule. Why do I use the 5% rule? Simply because I feel like it's a conservative, doable number.
Right.
It's not guaranteed by any means, but the market averages, 6.5%. And so I feel like 5% is a good number. 5% of $1 million is 50 grand a year. So if you can say to yourself, okay, well, I could live on 50,000 a year off of my investments plus Social Security.
If it's still around.
Yes, that's a different day. That's different. Finance Friday. But let's say Social Security, let's say any pensions you might have, let's say any inheritance you might have. So there's other things that you add into that. But if you're purely trying to calculate what you will get off of the money that the calculator tells you, just use a 5% rule instead of getting all complicated like, well, this would be my investments and what would this generate?
Right.
Just use like a fixed percentage and we use 5%. So it's that simple. Punch in what you save, use a calculator. Like we have calculators. There's one from Smart Asset. There's one actually on Vanguard. There's one on Prudential's website. I could probably post some of the calculators.
Probably.
I could do like an Instagram post because I'm getting good at Instagram, guys.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
Yeah, you're on there.
I'm getting up in the world. But the calculators that you use to simply say, if I save X amount of dollars per month, if I save $100 per month, how much will I have in retirement? The calculators can get you there. Or even like I have an app on my phone. I think it's called Easy Calculators. Yeah, Easy Calculators.
So many. They have really cool
many
calculators on there that can help you figure out.
They have a retirement calculator on here.
But in the retirement, even in that folder, there's like 10 different things that they can help you find.
Right.
So it's a cool calculator. It can be a little confusing at the end of the day, but it definitely gets you in the right direction of trying to figure out, what I need to be saving, what my bucket is going to need to be in order to retire happily.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, if you have to retire or, you can't work anymore, you can still retire. It just might not be exactly what you're looking for in retirement. So that's kind of where if to get that bucket and you can feel comfortable about living in retirement and kind of keeping the same lifestyle that you're keeping now.
And everybody, I feel like this is kind of a quote unquote boring conversation because everybody's like, well, retirement is so far out.
Yeah.
But here is a huge important thing that you guys should know. And if not for nothing, you can share it out for this one point alone. Time is everything. So I ran for a 22-year-old. There was an inheritance of $500,000. So if you punch in $500,000 for a 22-year-old for 60 years, $16 million. So $500,000 not touched, average of, I think I used 6%, 6 or 7. I could probably pull it up right now, but literally over 60 years, $16 million from $500,000. The point is, yes, I know, oh, Amy, I don't have a chunk of $500,000. Yeah. The point is that if you get yourself to a place of saving a chunk of money early on in your life, the earlier, the better. Right. That's the point. I don't think the weight of time is way shoved under the rug in our human nature. I just feel like everybody's like, well, it's far away, so I can wait.
Right. And which is so not true. The sooner, the better.
You can wait, but it's going to be harder for you. So if you want it to be easier, then you start earlier.
Right.
If you want it to be a challenge, then you can wait, but it will be harder. You will have catching up to do. You will have to save more. It will be harder. So make it easier on yourself and just set up an automatic deduction, just like it's a bill, so you don't even really notice it. Automatically, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's $25 a paycheck.
Right.
It's something.
Yeah. Well, and I did that so this easy calculator, you can kind of put in like how much you save, what your annual return will be. And, before retirement, 6% I think is pretty good.
That's good.
And then, so retirement age 65.
6%
so this is
per
showing
year,
you that how much, here, I'll see if you can see it. But, this is a little difficult. So you can kind of see there if I don't know, but that's based on, will it? Can you get it to focus?
Move away. Oh, now there's a glare.
Okay. Well, you can kind of get an idea that starts, the red bar is at 25, blue 35, and it does 10-year increments. So if you do it $100 a month, that is how much the growth is different. So you're looking at just off $100 a month. If you're 25 and you do that every year till you're 65, you will have $185,000. If you wait till 30, you're $133,000. So that's $50,000. Just 5 years, you're losing $50,000 off of $100 a month. $94,000 to $35,000.
$50,000 loss.
Yeah, and then another $50,000 if you wait another 5 years, and then $35,000 if you wait till 40. So you're talking. You want the sooner the better.
The
numbers don't lie
into hundreds of thousands.
So in order to make that up, you're then having to the number. Is like if you start with like 15% when you're 25, if you wait till you're 30, you have to do like 18 or 19%. And then if you wait till you're 35, it's like 23 or 24% of your income to be able to catch up to the same number.
And if you have a 401k with a match at work, that's doubling. So if you put away $100 a month and they match $100 a month, imagine that. So that's $50,000. Right. Just so people don't understand the levity of like a 401k match. Even if they're only giving you $100 and you say to yourself, it's only $100 I'm missing out on. It's $50,000 that you missed out on, right? You said over 30 years. What was it? I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, but you're talking
tens of thousands
a month. $100 a month over 30 years is $50,000. It's a huge amount of money.
Hey, Blake.
That you are missing out on because of compound.
Blake, who just joined, you're young. You got to start saving now. Like, I don't want it to be like a lecture. I want it to be easier for you.
Yeah.
It's just you can wait, but then it'll be harder. $100 a month. My God, if I could save $50,000 by going back in time 5 years and saving $100 more a month, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't want an extra $50,000 from just saving sooner? Same amount of money. So, if you are just joining, we're talking about how much do you need in retirement? How much do you live on? What are your expenses? What's your income in retirement? How much do you need to put away towards retirement? The answer is anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is better than nothing, and sooner is better than later.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, and don't wait. I mean, that's the bottom line, is don't wait longer. Don't think, I mean, I hear it all the time. Oh, I'm too young. I don't have enough money. You know, I'll do that when I'm older, when I have a little bit more saved. And no, it can start with zero. Put something away now, let it grow. I mean, you won't miss it. You might miss it the first month or two, but once you get set up into automatic, you know, savings into your deposits into your savings or into an IRA, whatever it is, you won't miss it. And you will thank yourself in 20 years. I mean,
never, ever, ever once had anybody say, oh, I wish I would have saved less.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I would have started later. Like, never once. So there will always be something to, this is the other thing that I just heard this the other day.
Yeah.
She said, I can't start an IRA right now because I think there was like a huge cat bill or something. I had a cat bill to pay for.
Okay.
There will always be something, guys. There will always be something. Always.
Hey, Tammy.
Whether it will be kids or something going on with your car or something with a job that's switching or health issues. I mean, there will always be something. So if you wait for the perfect time,
there won't be.
There won't be.
Right.
There won't be. And then before you know it, you will be 50 and it'll be like, oh, wow, now I really have a lot of a lot going on.
Think about the things you're already putting in autopay, whether it's apps or, you know, Spotify, you know, all these different apps that are already taking your money every month. Just add another expense to it, and it's going to be something that you're paying yourself. Yeah. You're basically paying yourself, and
you're not spending it.
Yeah.
I think that's the other mentality is that I don't have the $100 to spend right now. Hey, Paul, I don't have that money to spend right now. And I promise you, if you go back and you look at all the vacations you took, or you look at, like, I get it, and you want to live life, but at the same time, when you stop working is when you really can live life. Like you're not working anymore. Yeah. So you want to actually pay yourself first. Absolutely. Because it just compounds. It's not just the money that you pay yourself first. It's the compounding that all the money in the investments that you earn is paying you. Right. I mean, it's so, and again, I don't want it to get like lectury.
Yeah. No, but it's, and that's not the point, isn't to lecture. The point is just to educate and let you know the importance. I mean, think about it. $1,200 a year will turn into $185,000 in 40 years. I mean, that's crazy.
And again, people think like $1 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. I'll never need $1 million. I'll never get to $1 million. $1 million in retirement, guys, will pay you $50,000 a year. Yeah. So I would say right now, most of us are going to need $1 million when we retire.
At least.
At least. So that's the point, is that it's not like, oh, $1 million, like that's this huge number. It's really not anymore. That will, I mean, at most $100,000 per year on $1 million, if you don't invest it, well, simple math, will last you 10 years.
Right.
So if you retire at 65 and you live until 75, now you're out of money. Obviously, if you invest the money, hopefully you prolong that, obviously. But the thought is that you want to be prepared. You don't want to get in a situation where you're 75 and you physically can't work and you're down to no money and you don't have a choice. That's awful. That's awful to witness. It's awful to go through. You just want it to be your choice. Just put it in your hands as to how much you get to live in retirement. Just put the ball in your own court. Mm-hmm. It's so important. So I don't know if you have any other, I see one more thing that you have. What's the 25?
That was just the percentages that you need to save based on the years, like how much more you have to save if you wait. Like I said, 15% at 25 goes up to 18 or 19% at 30 and up to 23 or 24%.
Well, and one thing we didn't mention, so if you're making X amount now and you're saving 10% of your income, and then in retirement, you plan on living on 90% of what your income is now, you're already used to living on that amount. Right. So it's easier to plan when you're already living on that amount, because then you don't have to worry about inflation because you're already living on that amount now, and the percentage of your pay hopefully will increase with inflation. So if you're already living on 80% and saving 20%, then there's no adjustment in retirement and you can live off of all the savings and you're living off the same amount. That's another good way to do it. But obviously this is much more complicated than just a 20-minute live, but we wanted to give you some insight of just get you thinking of what might I need and how can I do this, that you can do it. And if you need a resource, obviously you guys know you can call us, but this is very doable. What did Paul say? Put away 10% of your earnings and you won't even notice a difference in quality of living. I
Right.
always say that. People don't believe me, but I promise the Starbucks visits and
It adds
all the eating out
yeah.
and oh my gosh. I mean, I just had somebody here that literally eats out every meal because they're like, it's so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Like McDonald's is so cheap.
Yeah.
It's $2 for 2 burgers or whatever. And it's like, until you find out that a loaf of bread could have made you 15 meals.
Yeah.
And
well, and you won't probably have to save as much for retirement if you do that, because your quality of life won't be as good for as long.
So, well, that's true. That's a good point too.
But I do want to say, I think we hear it a lot of like, how much do I need to start saving? And like we said earlier, 0. You just start with something.
Start with anything.
And message us on here. We'd love to help you out and talk through whether or not we think or you think that it's
big or
worth,
small. We just want to help.
Yeah,
we just want to educate. Get
let
you in
us
the right
know,
direction.
what the direction you want to go, and we want to help you in any way, whether it's with us or someone else. We want to be able to give you the resources to feel better about your finances and not have that be a stressor in your life, or as much of one at least.
I just got a message from my husband. Jim obviously isn't here, so I was distracted because he didn't know if he was supposed to pick up a certain kid or not, which I not tell him 4 times when he was here.
Yeah,
4 times.
He's doing it. He's helping.
Just pay attention to your wives.
But just acknowledge when we're trying.
Happy Friday! That's it. That's
right,
my last
everyone.
word. I'll
Have
leave
a
you with
great
that.
weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Long weekend.
Thank you again to all veterans, to all people that have sacrificed, that have had family members. We appreciate you, and just remembering you, praying for you on Memorial Day and every day. Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.